Well, hey, girl.
Hey, hey,
Hey. You know, y'all, she got to have her little music. You know, she got to have her music.
that feel good music.
Right. Hey. Hey, y'all. Let's talk. I'm Stacy.
Yes, Kiki, and we're listening.
And we listening, y'all. Listen.
Yes.
We have a fantastic evening set up for y'all. I'm like super excited. I'm super excited. Um, but before we get there, how was your week, Key?
It's been pretty good so far. I can't complain too much. And I don't know if you want to share yours.
Good. Okay, Key. I know. Oh Lord. Y'all, well, we transparent. So that's why we live. That's why we do this, and this is why we're here, right? So y'all, this week has been quite trying for us. On last Friday evening, my little baby Bella, I had a little Shorky, and we've had her 2 years now, and um, she passed away on Friday night. So it has been very challenging, um, very emotional. If anybody are dog lovers or have puppies or dogs or pets, and you lose one, it's literally like losing a family member. So it was like losing a child all over again. Um, but we're getting through. God is, He's a healer. That's all I can. That's all I can say, and that's all I can do is to know that He's a healer, and He gonna get us through. So it's been rough though. Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah.
It's but I'm excited. I'm excited about tonight. We have a guest. So, Key, would you like to tell us about our first guest?
Mm. Our first guest is Mr. Marty McNair. Oh my goodness. Marty is amazing. He's doing so much work, not only in the community he's always have, but I can't even do enough for this man. So he would definitely have to introduce himself because to go back to everything that he had endured and all the great things he was doing prior to the death of his son. Yeah, Marty, it's on you. It's on you.
Hey, thank you, ladies. I'm Marty McNair from the the founder of the Jordan McNair Foundation. And the interesting thing that with the loss of a child is, for me personally, I looked up recently and had realized like that my whole identity had become our story. Like literally, like nobody in the last 6 years has introduced me and said, "Hey, this is Marty McNair. This is my man Marty. You remember his son Jordan?" And Cynthia, as well as I know that really, as I always jokingly say, like I was somebody before, I
Before
I had some
identity.
life prior to this story, right? The
Right.
only interesting thing was really the trajectory had really changed in regards to the work or the advocacy that I was doing when Jordan passed. And for me, it was just like I lost myself in our story. Like literally, like this is who I've become. So I'm Marty McNair again. I'm a thought leader, motivational speaker, author 2 times, business owner, advocate, globetrotter, and I can just gentleman. I can just go on and on and on. But you couldn't have told me that the journey I'm on now. You couldn't have told me this 6 years ago. This would be the mission. I probably, I don't think any of us would have known that, until that life changing day for all of us, that we became members of this club nobody wants to be a member of. And
Right.
for me, really it's just like, my newest book that I just recently finished, hopefully will hit the shelves probably in 2025, since really it's a different process from self-publishing when you get a literary agent. It's official at this point. And I tell people all the time, really my big thing was I just wanted to see my book in the airport bookstore. That's it. And I didn't. I'm, my mission is simple. So, and again, every time I come up with a plan, I can implement it, but obviously God takes it to a whole nother level. You know what I mean? And I'm just a passenger on that journey.
Nice.
I just wanted airport presence in a couple
of that's right. That ain't too much to ask.
Well, before we get into it, I want to bring our second guest on because I want all of us to have a group conversation. So this is my brother, my friend. I'm the sister from another mister. He a brother from another mother. All of those good things. And I want to bring him on and let him introduce himself to share what and why, of course, he's a part of this journey, this group that nobody wants to be a part of. So Mr. Leetre Langston is my brother from another mother. Hello, Brubby.
How you doing? Hey, Miss Kiki. Hey, Mr. Marty.
Hello.
How you doing today?
How you doing?
Great.
Nice to meet you.
Introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Leetre Langston. A little about me, like she said, that's my sister to me. Born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. Now reside in Atlanta. Been here about 20 years. I'm definitely on the call in this group that nobody wants to be a part of. My daughter passed away a few years back, and that was my first child, first love. I'm the guy in the neighborhood that had the first child, and she had 13, 15 uncles. That type of story. Yeah, everybody was supportive. It was amazing. I got the call, and she was sick. She was in Florida, hanging with the wrong people, doing the wrong things. The time I got to her, she was already in the hospital, plugged up to machines, couldn't respond. The best thing for me is I was there. It was a week that passed, and it wasn't someone gave me a phone call and said she's gone. So I got to talk to her, hold her hand, play songs in the air, just be there. The doctor said that she should have been gone days ago, but she was holding on. They told her there was nothing else more they could do. Take off the machines. Took off the machine. She was still there, still breathing, still fighting, still snoring. Was at the hospital for 2 days off the machines. They said, okay, we need this room. We're going to take her to hospice. That's fine. I'm not leaving her side. Went to hospice. Same thing. Still there, still breathing, still snoring. It was, I fell asleep, and I honestly, I'm not going to put this on nobody, but I feel like they helped her leave. Meaning I fell asleep. Nurse kept coming in. I'm like, hey, good. Unless I call for you, please don't come in. Came in, oh, I'm just giving her something to make her feel comfortable. I said, she is fine. She is not fidgety. She's not jumping around. She's snoring. I know my child. She good. I fell asleep. I woke up. I could see somebody leaving out the room in the corner of my eye. And when I went to check on her, she had stopped breathing. She was still warm, stopped breathing. But I sat there, prayed, cried, talked. Took me a long time to leave the room. But like I said, to me, it's never easy, but it was definitely easier to transition than somebody give me a phone call 800 miles away and saying she's gone. I got to see her. I was the last person with her. I got to talk to her, hold her, kiss her. So no one wants to be part of this club, but I definitely understand. And to a guy, your daughter is like your first love. Your first love. Yeah, you could do no wrong in your daughter's eyes. So that's my story.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate you being transparent, able to share, because what we know, and Leetre, you, of course, you know my story. Marty, I'll give you a little bit of my story. Um, it's so ironic that me and Kiki, we share literally the same story. Um, Dylan was murdered in here in Atlanta in 2016, July 31st. Literally, me and Key, our sons were killed an hour within the same hour, same day, 700 miles away. Dante in Baltimore, Dylan here in Atlanta. Um, Me and Key went to middle school together. We did not cross paths again until this. So it has been almost 8 years now, and we're here. Our our families, our sons, you would have to go back to the first podcast and we tell you about all our stuff because we don't want it to be about us today. We wanted to be about y'all. So
Yeah.
I'm just excited that men that are going through this journey and that share this pain is willing to be transparent and open up and talk and share their story because there are other fathers that go through this and have nobody to talk to, no outreach, no source of support because they want to be men. They want to be strong. They don't want to cry. They don't want to, show their feeling. And I remember when, this was happening with my niece and Leetre called and it was in panic that he get to Florida. And I know like for summers, we had all the kids. Leetre literally, we had 9, 10 kids at the house in Atlanta from Baltimore. All his kids, all my kids, our sister kids, everybody. And me and Marty, we talked about it earlier, like what people see us doing now, we've done for free years ago. So we had a whole camp at the house during the summer for free. We had to buy all the food, buy all the stuff, do all the stuff. And now, me and Marty talked about it earlier, somebody else does this and they want to give money. Oh, well, let's do, honey, we've been doing this with our kids for free for a long time. So I want, Marty, I would love for you to chime in and talk about what you do and, how we got to this point.
Yep. So for me, my story had really kind of got more of a national spotlight, or just we were on a national platform because it happened in college sports. Jordan had a heat stroke the very first day as a sophomore at University of Maryland as a football player, and they were doing conditioning drills, and he started to have a heat stroke. Unfortunately, the athletic trainers or the medical professionals on the field didn't acknowledge or didn't recognize all of the symptoms that were right there. And we literally went from a healthy kid Tuesday morning to an emergency liver transplant Friday morning with him being within 12 hours of his life. And 85% of his liver was in necrosis. So obviously, Stacey, you being in the medical field, you know the magnitude of that. And for me, I didn't have a clue on what a heat stroke was, or, really, I just thought, all my information was wrong. And I'm using heat stroke lightly at this point. But one of the things when Jordan was in shock trauma, I just kept asking myself, like, what did I miss? I missed something. And I thought I was the guy that knew a little bit about everything. And I kept saying, I missed something, right? And I didn't ask the right questions. And how could he have gone to this big school or this big, educational institution and this happened? And I started really looking back, and I kept asking myself, if I don't know these things, how many other parents in America don't know these things? And the interesting thing, from a father's perspective, and I'm sure Lietra can explain this, could elaborate as well, or relate to, regardless of what happens, regardless where it happens at, right, it's still your fault, right? Like from a father's perspective, not a mother's perspective. And I can't speak to mothers. However, it was something that I did not prepare Jordan for. And the guilt, the shame, the impotence of not being able to do something for your child, if things had worked out, if my prayers had got answered, I wouldn't be on this podcast and he would still be here, because we all know that we'll sacrifice ourselves, for our children if they're in that position, And the interesting thing for me was, I was literally optimistic that Jordan would get through this. I just knew he wasn't going to play football again, like literally until the day before he passed, he became brain dead. But one of the main things, like I said, if I didn't know these things, how many other parents in America didn't know these things? And I didn't even realize. One of the main things about grief is this: nobody's literally sitting there with their hands on their knees, like they waiting, like they playing a position of grief from a defensive end, right? A lot of times we get those phone calls that change our lives forever. So, and it's interesting because I was listening to a panel discussion the other day, and they had Trayvon Martin's father was one of the panelists, and we all agreed. I mean, we agreed that as a father, regardless of what happened, it's your fault. It's something you felt as though you could have done, and a lot of times, none of us can get in the way of God's plans at the end of the day. But for me, I think for me, like it was either I can go two places: either I can go down this rabbit hole of depression and despair, or like I've seen so many fathers do, or I can get in front of this and try to make an impact or create some type of, turn this pain into some type of passion or some type of purpose. So for me, basically, that's really what I did. I started the foundation 3 days after Jordan passed. And it was like, I had no idea we have this type of platform or make this type of impact. But really, that was it, because I already knew if I take one step and I get to that why me, I mean, yeah, you probably would have seen me on TV, it probably would have did something that emotionally, acting out that, something I probably couldn't have, I took back, or I would have just really been in an awkward situation at this point.
Lietra?
I was
I'm sorry.
No, it's not a problem. I just want to thank you guys, because being on this journey for this amount of time, I have been in a lot of rooms and we hardly see dads. And a lot of times we get criticized as moms because people that have not traveled this journey believe that we ostracize the men or we push them to the side. That's not true. But we know as mothers, it's different. We know, we see it every day. Men and women are different. From our point of view, we see the men, they have to be proactive. They have to work. They got to, drown themselves in something. We're emotional. We're nurturers. We're going to do it differently. So I just want to thank you guys. And if you can say a little something about that to the men or to the people that don't understand, like your point of view as a dad, y'all did touch on it a little bit, but I've heard about it and had big discussions about like, we never see the fathers, and it's like we're pushing them away, and that's not true at all.
Yeah. Hey, Cynthia, let me tell you, I'm sorry, brother. You want to go ahead?
No, go ahead, Marty. I'll go after you.
So this is the thing. So even for me, so imagine we all know, I'm not imagine for us, but for your listeners, the life cycle has totally got disrupted. Yeah, it's all right for a parent or older person to die because that's the way it's supposed to happen. 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 20-something-year-olds ain't supposed to go before us. That's just not the way it's supposed to be. So for me, I had a Coach Mike Loxley. He's a head football coach at the University of Maryland. He had lost his son Miko. Somebody murdered Miko the year before in 2017. He was the one calling me every morning, sending me prayers, sending me text messages like, bro, this is what it's going to be, man. He was just sharing his experiences with me. Like, man, I know the wake is the day or the viewing is the day. Man, it's going to be so many people. It's going to be like a blur. You ain't going to remember none of it. When the funeral came, like, bro, I know you think you are, but have somebody stand next to you when they close the casket, because I guarantee you're going to lose it, because that's finality. You know what I mean? So a lot of this, I had no idea. Luckily, he was my guide that I wound up guiding so many other fathers in this scenario, right? So from a father's point of view, that's what it looks like. For it's not that it's more y'all and us, but we're the nucleus. We got to be strong for the family.
Yes.
So from a man's point of view, this is my job to be strong for everybody in the family. But who am I going to crying? See, because the thing, let me say this. I started a support group of fathers. In the last 6 years, I have met more fathers across the country that have lost children, daughters, sons, regardless of mental health, suicide, heat stroke, you name it, getting hit by cars. I mean, just all types of stuff. And what made me start the support group was I talked to 5 guys in a 2-day period on August the 15th that all 5 of them guys had lost their son prior to August 15th.
Wow.
In 2 days. And I don't know how I wound up talking to them, but at the end of the day, a lot of dudes knew, like, if anybody experienced this, Marty experienced this. So when you see guys on the call and you got, and that whole grief, they range from, man, F the world, the heck with the world. I hate God. I do this. I do that. You can't do nothing but you just can't do nothing but listen. And all you can really say is it'll get better. Now, keep in mind, out of everybody, the mothers that I've met, the kid's father, like I deal in the sports space with these type of injuries the majority of the time. So the people I come in contact with really was a result of something similar to my son. It's probably 4 dudes that I reach out to every single time we would do a group meeting. They don't even show, but I still send them an email because they've gone down into that rabbit hole of despair and they can't come out of it. So, but again, and the brothers that do, some of them early on, they can relate. Those of us that have been, dealing with this, a lot longer, we just sit there and look, man, it'll get better. And you can see the ones that get progressive. And then you got guys on the call saying, I tried to drink it away. I tried to drug it away. It's still there. Drinking only made it worse. But so there are some brothers, and I got friends like you, Cynthia, you, Stacy, that, no other brothers. And it's a couple sisters that I always send whenever I do a support group, I always send them the invite to pass on to some other brothers. It's just hard for men to really deal with that in a sense. So that's just not our mental makeup in a sense. But until you get in that space where you have other people that can tell you, man, this thing it's gonna get worse before it get better. But I guarantee you, just stay connected and it'll get better. This is just gonna be a new normal for you. So from a man's point of view, that's really the main thing. Like, we so used to trying to be strong that, everybody kind of forget about us. But I, from another man who's experienced this, really, I get them calls and I'm talking to grown men crying and boo-hooing and all that type. And it's like, it's all right, brother, let it out, because at least I got somebody I'm comfortable with that I can share it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you saying, nobody, male or female, nobody wants to bury their child. That's just not the circle of life. That's not how that's supposed to work. We're supposed to grow. They're supposed to bury us. So, you know, guys, we get emotionally invested as well. This is our child, especially if it's, I'm sorry, if it's a father. He's definitely feeling it. He's definitely hurt. He's definitely crying. It's not just, I'm a man, I'll be all right. It don't work like that. You're gonna go to somebody you can confide in, or you're gonna go in the corner and you're gonna let it out, and it's not gonna stop. You're gonna cry. You're gonna hurt. It's never going to heal. It'll get better. I believe all things get better with time and prayer, but it's never going to heal. It's never going to heal. It's like an open wound that you can patch up and you can dress it up and you can make it nice, and yeah, it's still going to hurt every time you touch it, and it's never going to heal. Um, it's an undescribable feeling, which I'm quite sure everybody on this call knows, to either get the call or just to be there when that time comes. Me being in that room and her passing is, like I said, undescribable. It's like some of me left. Whenever she floated up, some of me floated up with her. I could hear her voice. My child was a great child. Not okay, not all right, a great child. Loved me way more than I loved her. And that's hard because I loved my child. But from a man's perspective, like I said, we hurt. Uh, we don't heal as well. We Sometimes we talk, sometimes we bottle it up. It's been times where it'd be a good day and we talking and it's a whole different subject and everything's good, and tears just coming out my eyes. Don't know why. I'm not emotional. Nose not running. I'm not. It's just my eyes just start crying, and I'm like, what is this? Am I cleansing myself? How's this working? But as a guy's perspective, we hurt is just as much as a mom, especially like I said, if you're a father and you're in your child's life, and it's nothing like it. So I appreciate you getting me on the call and invite me to this forum, because it helps for other people to hear your pain, because some people are going through it and they can relate. They can relate to the tears. They can relate to the in the corner by yourself. Mr. Marty, I hear you talking about the other guys. Me, not a drinker, not a smoker. I'm a writer. I'm a talker. So I'll talk it out and I'll help a lot of people. And I can't help myself without helping people. And that's how I cleanse.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just who I am. That's how I cleanse. If I help you and you good, somebody say, Lee-Trey, how you doing today? I say, absolutely wonderful. That's always my answer. I don't care if it's the worst day I've experienced. Absolutely wonderful. And they look like, if your day that good, my day got to go good. And I'm winning. That's a win-win for me. I deal with people every day, a lot of different states. I travel a lot, and I got a good rapport. It's good to leave people and not see them for a while, and then when you see them again, all they remember is good. And that's what I try to spread, because that's what she spread. Everywhere she went, all they remember is good.
I think
I
that
love that, guy.
I think that I'm sorry, Cynthia. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Marty.
No.
I think that one of the main things is, even when we look at our children, right? And one of for me, I was always amazed, like, at who Jordan was to other people. And it was like, for real, Jordan did that, or Jordan did this. That's what I was just like, wow, like that was what we instilled in him. Being me and his mother Taria, that's what we instilled in him. So to hear who he was to other people, man, that was just like, just such a commendable, or just like, man, I couldn't put that into words, where it was just like, I would be amazed, like, wow, Jordan did that? Like, because you only know them one way most times, right? You don't know who they are to their friends and all that type. So when people tell you, man, it's just the compliment that, that keeps going, in a sense, so they even made their mark on the world, however long it was, or, their mission. I look at it like this. I always thought Jordan would have played on Sundays in the NFL, right? That's what my mind was. You go to college, get a degree. If you want to play at the next level, I never thought he'd be the poster boy for student athlete safety across the nation. Never, ever. Like, where his story, everybody knows this reference from this perspective of safety. So I had no idea about that. So, I just think that, really it's always a pleasure to see, like I said, who they were to other people.
That's real good because um, I remember when we went to the school for the memorial. After it happened, everybody met at his high school, and they allow, and I say they because I I wasn't even coherent to know, but I could hear them talk about everything that Dylan did for them. I didn't know that it was a young girl. She was a cutter. She used to cut herself. And he told her, I'm here for you. I'm like, really? He never even, she stopped cutting herself because of Dylan. uh, One of the girls is literally, she still calls me and checks on me. She was new at the school, sitting there and crying. He stopped, went to her and said, "What's wrong? Come on, I'll take you. Go to class with me. I'll walk you here. I'll do this." And that's just who he was. And the same thing Lee Trey say, like, I can be having the worst day, but you wouldn't know it because everybody I see, every place I go, it's always, I'm great. What we doing? What you need? I'm in healthcare. I'm a nurse. I That's all I know is to take care of people. All I know is to make people better. So even when I'm not having the best of days, I gotta make sure you having the best of days. So it's amazing to find out what the kids did, right? Like, just amazing to know what they did, what impact they left. So it's our job now that we have to do the same thing for them because I've said it from the day um, that it happened. Like, your name will forever live on. They will never forget who you are. And I meant that. I meant that to my core because he had no business leaving. And that's none of our kids had no business leaving before. Like, who told you to leave before me? That's not how I go. That's not how I go. So I'm so grateful that we could hear from two men that have walked this journey, that have been through this. Marty, we talked a little earlier. I'm so super excited about what we're gonna do in the community, and I'm so glad that you're able to meet Lee Trey. Lee Trey is on my team for the foundation, so. Um, we will do some things together, but we've been on this subject of getting through the holidays. So for us, Lee Trey know me. I'm a cook. I want everybody to come over. I want to party. I'm a cook like I'm cooking for 1,000 people. I don't care. That's what I do. It keeps me busy. I have to stay busy. So for you fathers, what is it that helps you get through the holidays? Either one.
I'll let Lee Trey go first.
My family helps me get through the holidays. The people that are still here, the people that loved as much as I do. Like you said, we never forget. We talk about it, we pray, but my family's what get me through the holidays because it's hard when you have more than one kid and you see all of them together, but one. And they know when you break down that it's okay, she's still here, so on and so on. So for me, it's my family. My family gets me through the holidays.
And for me, I'm Muslim, so I don't really, a lot of holidays I really don't celebrate. However, really for me, the 2 times a year is that time that from the time we got the phone call to the time he passed. That's always the month of June, from like the end of May to the month of June. Like I'm just in, no matter how busy I try to stay, like I'm just off balance. And another time for me is always his birthday is always kind of like one of those days. I try to stay busy, and surprisingly, like for me, it's always draft time. Like draft time is like one of those. That's the equivalent of a holiday for me. So it's just like that should be us. That should have been us. Or not to say that you don't want to see the success of another young person in this position, but that when you see that father-son dynamic, oh gosh, it just tears me apart because Jordan was Tanya's and our only son. So it's not like I really had a whole bunch of other kids. That was it. So that's always a challenging time for me. But one of the main things for us is, and Tanya and I, when people always see us, they would see us in the media, see us at games or whatever. We went our separate ways when Jordan was 6 months. But one of the things for us, we co-parented very well. So the thing with us was like we just always had, it was always about him. So we partnered, made a pact to partner for his success. So one of the things that I know is I can speak for her. I know holidays are challenging because I'm the only child. So her family is my family for the last 30 plus years. So it's challenging, like for her really to kind of see all of the kids together and all the family. And like Litre just said, here's the one that's missing. My child is missing. So, a lot of times, like we try to stay connected a lot of times where, like certain situations, I always like try to say, hey, don't put yourself in those trigger type situations where, it'd be just really a bad situation for you because, a lot of times, even when we want to be there to support other people, especially that's going through this, sometimes we got to know our limits as well because, you can't get right in that with them. And here you go already. Now you reliving the whole process again. So a lot of times, and I know this was totally outside of your question, Stacey, but
no, please.
These are just regular conversations you have with people that experience it, especially your family members or whatever. Like, we had Tanya, we had friends of the family who lost a son recently. And, I went to the viewing and, all her support, her sisters and, a mother going to take it hard. And I kind of got to yank her out of it. Like, look, don't go down that hole now. I'm not saying you want to be supportive, but, please be mindful of your own personal mental health as well.
It's those boundaries that we.
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, it's those boundaries that a lot of us didn't have prior to our traumatic experience. But being on this journey and this platform and with you guys speaking and everything, this is what we want to bring awareness to. Some people think that when you are isolating yourself, it's isolation is not always bad. Sometimes that's for you to regroup, to breathe. And I always tell people, breathe. We tense up, we hold our breath. No, breathe, let it out. It's okay to not be okay. But we talked about in a couple other episodes about how, you go into that hole and you have to have that support system or that person to say, okay, I'm going to get down there with you, because being realistic, we can't always pull back. We can't always say, don't go down there, because it's easy to get in that hole. It's easy to go into that dark space. But we're just hoping that with this platform, and guys, I hope that you will join us again really soon, because we do want to have you back on. We can't even finish what half of what we want to discuss, because this is a great show we have, and we want to have you back on very soon. But I'm happy you did touch on the boundaries, Marty, because a lot of people don't know what they are, because they think that they have to be everything to everybody. And I know I was that for years, and I felt like it's helping me. And it was unhealthy because I didn't know how to be there for myself. I was bleeding on so many people that loved me. I was, I just, in meaning bleeding, because I felt like I was heavyweight. They had to hold me, but I just didn't know how to save it for myself. But now I do. But it took trial and error. It took more lifing, it took more living. And my aunt used to say when we were younger, she said, you live long enough, you'll learn. And she'll just keep saying that, and you never know. And that went to every aspect of our life. You live long enough, you'll learn. But all of this is a learning. You're like, we're still learning. All of us are basically around the same, time, but everything is different. But what I love about it is that both of you, Lee Trey and Marty, your son and daughter, it wasn't, the same as me and Stacy. So we want to give every aspect. We don't want people to think that it's only about, murder is only about this, is only about, no, it's about grief. It's about getting through it. It's not about staying in this dark space. It's about how can we continue moving toward that light, and Marty, when I reached out to you, because I know Dante was murdered, and I experienced this a couple of years prior to you. And I thank you for the conversation that we have. And I never would want no one that I love and care about, or know, even that don't know, experience this type of pain. But it's amazing the connections that we've all had on this journey. It's like, how are these amazing, great people come together and we share the same thing, grieving our children. But what's amazing as well is listening to people that have seen the show and said, I didn't lose a child, but I could relate to some parts because I lost my dad, I lost my mom, I lost my significant other. I'm an aunt, I'm an uncle, I'm a cousin, I'm a sibling. And this is what we need. We need more exposure. We need more people to see that you can do this. It's not easy by a long shot. Nothing is easy. But when you have a purpose, when you have an anchor, when you have passion, you can do it. You can do it. But guys, I thank you so much for being on here. I do want you both to share a little bit more of what you can leave with our guests, our audience rather. Marty, how can they connect with you? What do you want to give to our listeners? The same with you, Lee Trey.
So thank you for having me. I think you all have a dynamic platform that really, and I'm just reading your listeners, some of the things that they saying. This is something that we all need, and a lot of times safe spaces are significant, in regards to this, and I unfortunately, we don't want to be here, but we are here, and obviously we just literally have to make the best out of it. And Cynthia, something that you just said, in regards to how it brings people together. And let me tell you, it's so many people that I've met with I deal with more men. You name it. It ain't got nothing to do with what you do for a living, what your culture is, what your color is, what your race is. This is the one thing that brings us all together. Like literally, I met so many people that there's no possible way we would have ever met under any other circumstances, but this one thing that we have in common, and this is what binds us. You know what I mean? Regardless of if they white, they black, they whatever. If you got on one of our calls, literally, it's like a cultural melting pot of how many people from all walks of life, and this is just that thing that we share. But again, what I like to leave everybody, and Leetra said it earlier, one of the things that really helped me, and I always suggest to people, unfortunately, if you're going through this, write, journal, you know what I mean? That is, to me, that was so healthy. Like when I wrote my first book, that's when I really got, closure, because I had to relive it, but I had to write it out, and it was just so emotional. And then I got to a point where it was just like, wow, I feel like I'm all right with this now. But again, so I encourage people to journal. I encourage people to, be very, very mindful of your mental health. Be mindful of those triggers. Don't put yourself in them trigger situations. Sometimes, we can be there to support, but we can't go through with everybody, especially in these kind of situations, and this is the reality of the world that we live in. So I would suggest, be very mindful of your personal space and try to be as healthy mentally as you possibly can be. I don't know if it's out getting vitamin D from the sun, exercising, drinking water, because I guarantee you, I've heard it from many occasions, everybody that went down the rabbit hole thinking they're going to drink and drug it away, it only makes the situation or exacerbates the situation in a sense. So that's really the main thing. If you want to get in contact with me, please, I'm Martin Mack, Marty Mack, Instagram, IG, or the Jordan McNair Foundation. I'm on all platforms. So really, if you just want to see some of the stuff that we're doing, but again, I just thank you and Stacy both for even having me here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So for me,
Trey.
what Marty was saying, his book, it allowed him to write, release, I should say, and reflect. And then you got to go back and read your own words and basically counsel yourself and see what you've gone through. And then, especially if he's writing it, okay, yeah, this happened. Let me go back. And in the journals, you're speaking to yourself, so to say. You're healing yourself from the inside. You can reach me through Stacy, of course, the Dylan Scott Foundation. But I think that we as people, like you said, we need to know our limits. My daughter, my mom, my brother, all of them gone. So it was kind of, such and such passed away. I was numb, couldn't go. I couldn't. I knew my limit. I knew one more would take me over the top. It took me years to get back into, let me show or funeral and support. And it's like I've never really, like I said earlier in the call, it's still to this day. I would cry. I don't know why I'm crying. Just the tears are coming down. I'm not emotional. I'm not upset. But I've never really accepted it. I've never really accepted it to this day. I know she's gone. She's not coming back. Like you said, Mr. Marty, when she passed, I wrote a poem and we put it in an obituary, and that I keep it. And then we copied them and we made them book, what do you call it? Book markers. So, yeah. And pictures at the top, the poem was down, and I still have them to this day. I still have them in my books. Almost every book that I read, I have one in. So, you have to find your own peace when it comes to this. It's like you said, no drink or alcohol or drugs is going to help you get off of it. If I grew up in Baltimore and I knew a lot of people that was on the drugs, and nothing they went to or went through or read was going to help them get off of it. If they not ready, they're not ready. You have to heal yourself and you have to find a way. Now, a support system definitely helps you because it helps you then. It helps you get it off your chest. It helps you talk with like-minded people when you both carry each other through it. But when you're not in that circle, you have to heal yourself. And I know you're Muslim, Mr. Marty, but I pray and I pray a lot. And I pray for, like I said, my gift is helping everybody else. And honestly, my prayer every night is for everybody else. I pray for everybody else. The people that's not praying, the people don't know how to pray. That's my prayer. And it has worked for me. So I just believe that we have to self-heal. You have to help yourself before you help anybody else. When you're on a plane, they say take the mask and make sure before you can help somebody else. Same situation. You have to heal yourself before you can help somebody else.
That was good. So I want, and I know we are already 48 minutes, but this is so good and people really need it. And a couple of things that both of you guys touched on. One is the triggers. You don't know where those triggers are. You don't know what they're going to be. You don't know when they're coming. It can be anything. Sometimes you don't even know that was a trigger. But you have to, like Lee Trey said, you have to be able to heal yourself. We're not going to heal until we go to the grave. That's just what I feel. I just, and everybody is different. My one thing is, and I say it all the time, there's not a better, there's just a bearable. So every day is more bearable. It's not better for me. So I always tell people that they always talk about time is going to heal. It does not. It does not. It for me, and I can't speak for everybody, but time doesn't heal for me, time has made it worse. And the way I say that is because there are times that I still wait for him to walk through the door. Like Letroy said, it still doesn't, I still don't accept it. Like to the day, it doesn't make sense. Somebody got to make it make sense for me. So it doesn't make sense. But what I do know is that I have to every day get up and do what I have to do because I have other children, I have grandchildren, and I have people that look to me to say, what you gonna do? Because I look to you to make it to the next day. Not that I even knew that that was something. I didn't know people even looked to me to make it to the next day, right? So there are things that sometimes I don't even know that I say or I do that help the next person get through this journey another minute, another hour. One of our guests, though, said, Kevin Turner said, one of the things that he had a hard time dealing with was friends not being there like he needed them to be there. He didn't hold it against them because he didn't think they knew how to be. We talked about this before. And for a mother, and I think this might go across the board, some don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to react. They don't want to say the wrong thing, so they don't say nothing. Or they don't want to say anything, and they say too much. So in that comment, people don't know what to do. If they haven't walked this walk, they literally don't know. My best friend says to me very often, sometimes I don't know what to say to you because I don't want to say the wrong thing. My husband says, sometimes I don't know what to do. So we can't hold that against them. In one of our sessions, we're going to talk about what to say and what not to say, because we don't know. We don't know until we get in this space. And Marty, we talked about that too, that we want this to be a safe space. We want this to be a place that people can come and men can come in, and we'll do a sibling and we'll do aunts and we'll do uncles. And it doesn't have to be that it was your child. It could be your spouse. It could be your mother. It could be your brother. I've lost a brother, a sister, a niece, a son. It's so many. And what do? Your grandma. I mean, anybody. We need you to know that this is a safe space to be able to talk, to be able to vent, to be able to share your experience to help somebody else. So I'm so appreciative. We got to do it again, y'all. So this is too short of a time to be able to cover everything, but we are so much and so grateful. Kevin, I love you. Whoever Kevin Turner got some
I
stuff.
know. Yes.
16 years for Kevin. It's been almost 8 for us. And he said, once I forgive the situation, I was able to think about my daughter separate of the situation and without the triggers. Let me tell you, Key said this our first broadcast. She said that, Key, you tell them what you said about therapy, and then we're going to be done.
I'm sorry, you broke up, Stacey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you.
You know what you said about therapy, and then we're going to be done about
it. I was just saying that for me, I was looking for a therapist to fix me, to heal my grief, like fix me. But as I kept going on and and realizing that therapy was not going to fix me. Therapy wasn't going to make this grieving process go away. But once I was able to unpack other things, other trauma that I had experienced even prior to the death of Dante, I was able to grieve properly. I was able to grieve properly and put it in a place other than where it was at everywhere. You know, it was in every aspect of my life. It took over me. And Marty had mentioned that earlier, like that was my existence. Dante's death, that's who I was. And when I start unpacking and unpacking and unpacking, I realized, guess what? I now have to find who I am again, because not only a part of me left, but all of me left. All of me literally left when my child was murdered. But we are here now. And I realized even with therapy and love and the support, and Stacy is my everything a lot of times. And I feel bad. And I always say, Stacy, I'm sorry, because I feel like I dumped, you know, but sometimes I do say, well, Stacy, how you feel? Okay, this is what's going on. And sometimes I'm selfish. I'm like, because God made her my person on this journey. I'm sorry, you know, but no, therapy did not help me with grief. Therapy helped me help myself unpack other things to be able to properly place things in the proper place. And once I've realized that, okay, I can do this, you know, I can do this.
Hey Cynthia, let me say this. You know, one of the main things is keep in mind, like when we look at trauma, right? Look where we come from. We live in Baltimore City, right? We live in Baltimore City. So trauma is so commonplace to us that half the time we don't even know what we're really looking at until a situation like this comes in our living room, in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just living in a urban city of all of the societal ills that that live in, because I'm a firm believer all the violence only happens in 5 zip codes. That's it. Life expectancy is 20 years less, 5 zip codes in every city. A lot of times what it has to do with, far as it's income related, right? But this is just what we so used to. We see murder every day. We see violence every day. You know, so again, we just don't think, we pray that it's not our child in these situations. But until it comes in our living room, it's just, you know what I mean? Because this is just the norm of what we deal with. Now, when it happens to us, you know, and I'm not by no means negating anything, but in reality, like, so this is just like, wow, this is, unfortunately, if you're a young Black man in the city, I mean, I hate to say you just, I mean, the statistical numbers of being an endangered species are just realistic, right? And I'm not making any excuses, but we just get so used to trauma that half the time we don't even really know what it looks like until it's really, but like you said, it's been there the whole time. So this one incident just usually takes us over the top to the point where we do something about it. And then, like you say, we start emptying it all out of our pockets to really see, like, wow, that was traumatic. That was traumatic. Damn, that was traumatic. And a lot of times, just because it don't happen to us, man, I got a family member, or I got a girlfriend, or I got a friend, or I got a little cousin, or all these different things where it happens, we're still affected as people by this. And so therefore, like you said, you know, we got to sit there and invest in whatever tools, you know, that, like Monique said, therapy was a tool for her. Therapy was a tool for me. You know, I tried it, you know what I mean? But again, at least it was an outlet for me when I needed it the most. So again, I definitely, I think everybody should have a therapist nowadays, period.
Yes.
So I just think that really, you know, these are things that when we live in urban cities that, you know, we just get so callous to that, you know, it's just like, man, it's just a part of, you know, our common living in a sense. And I think that really we got to be that's why our mental health, once we're in this position, is so important, because, you know, unfortunately, these things continue to happen, and we definitely don't want to constantly keep reliving that over and over again.
You hit it on the nose, Marty, especially growing up.
Sum that up and look, because
I'm in Atlanta. We downtown. Some gunshots everybody start running. I'm standing there. I'm it's gunshots. I heard it. I'm like, oh, that's a 9mm, or that's a 22, and they looking at me like, what? And I'm just, it's part of me. That's how I grew up, and they're like, that's crazy. That was Baltimore City. So you're right. Everybody needs a little therapy.
Yep, totally agree. That's why we gotta safe spaces are always important, where we at least have outlets really to kind of make to kind of share these types of things, because our reality ain't everybody else's reality, especially coming out of a city like this.
Yeah, that is so true. And this is therapy for me. And my first thing I tell everybody, I did go to therapy because I just believe that you can't tell me something that you can't help me through something that you ain't been through. So my therapy was, and it still is and will always be, God for me. That's just my therapy and my prayer life and my family. And this is therapy for me. Our sister mom group, that's therapy for me. To talk to people that can actually relate to what I'm feeling, to what I think today. It's funny because, and I'm so glad to see Monique in, because we had a conversation one time. It's like, I've made up in my mind that, Dylan didn't went to school.
Yeah.
He had college, or he was about to go in the military. So for me, he in the military. And he just ain't came home yet. So it's crazy how we put stuff in our mind, but it keeps me sane though. See, that's the difference. It keeps me sane. So if I don't do that, I'm not sane.
Right.
So
what you're saying, Stacey.
I tell people all the time, I ain't able and I ain't stable. Y'all better listen. Y'all better understand. He just away for a while. I'm telling you, that's what we've had to do. That's what you've had to put in your mind, that's what it is. So that works for me. That might not work for the next person, but it worked for me. That they're going. See, I ain't getting ready to. Raina is a fool. You laying up somewhere I can't. But we have to get to a point that right now we can sit, we can talk about it, we can laugh a little bit about it. There's always tears, there's always sadness, but at the end of the day, we got to be able to get up, go to work, because guess what? They would not want us to do anything different than what we're doing. They just wouldn't. They wouldn't want us sad, laying around, crying. They just would not, because that wasn't them. And I think I can speak for all four of us. That wasn't them. So that we can't do this. We can't do it either. We just can't. But I wanted to just share a couple of pictures real fast. And then we're going to be out of here. And again, I'm just so appreciative of you guys. Now, y'all know I'm a little slow at this extra curriculum activity that I got, right? But I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, so y'all can see. Share. And I wanted you to see. That's my baby. And then, I'm sorry. I wanted y'all to see it in a different way, but we still going to show it because I want y'all to see her. She's so beautiful.
She was beautiful.
Beautiful, miss.
Yes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. And again, guys, our journal. This is my journal. Our journal, guys. Like Marty said, and we said in our first and second and third, writing helps. This is your story. It's blank pages. because you have a story to tell when you're ready to tell it. Guess what? We all are writers because we've experienced something that is worth writing, is worth letting out, worth sharing. So, guys, it doesn't have to be this one, but this is our journal that we dedicated to our children.
Yes.
You can see it, and it's blank pages, except for the first. I already started. I know it worked for me. I know it worked for me. But
I wanted you to see Marty's
yes.
son, his handsome self.
Yes.
We have to make sure that you guys, you know, we want to show our babies. Yeah, we always that they never are forgotten. Never are forgotten.
Yes. This was awesome. I cannot wait until you guys join us again, because I know y'all will join us again. And well, we're going to get that together soon because but it's going to be right after Mother's Day, because Father's Day will be coming up.
Father's Day is coming up.
We are continuing this segment of grieving through the holidays. We need you guys. So yay.
I'm excited. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for just being here for the men and for the women, because we need to hear, we need to hear that y'all feel like we feel, that y'all going through what we go through, that y'all have those tears that we have when it just don't even make sense. You sitting there laughing and then here come a tear and you like, what the world? Look, did anybody see that? You just be trying to cover it. And so we're not feeling this alone. So, but we are here for you guys. So we're your support. We are here you can call me just like Key called me, vent, scream, holler, all that stuff. We're your ears, we're your shoulders when you can't find somebody else. So we appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So welcome.
Yeah, y'all doing, the mission, the work of the mission for sure. So look like y'all on something good for sure. I think you definitely won't have a shortage of content, to say the least.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all. Yep. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you again.
Okay.
Thanks everyone.
All right, everybody. Have a good one.
And y'all have a great one.
All right. Bye.
Yes. Good night.
All right, sis. We out of here.
Wow. Wow. Wow.